The Texas legislature, this is from the Texas Tribune. It says, with AI on the rise, the Texas House passes a bill requiring more transparency in political ads. The bill faced fierce opposition from hardline conservatives who said it is policing speech and could allow the state to jail people over silly political memes. Basically, the Texas House just passed a bill saying, like, if you create a political meme, but it doesn't have a government approved seal on it, and Desmond and I are still not really sure what that means, you could go to jail. You could go to jail for this idea around, we're trying to protect people against false speech around politics. So Desmond and I, we were talking about this before we came on here, and I said to him, I was like, so does that mean Trump could go to jail for posting himself as the Pope? Because that's fake.
You would think.
What is this? And who is this going to apply to? Will this apply to conversations around Gaza? If you post anything about Gaza, is that going to be flagged? What's going to get flagged?
Well, I would say that what's going to get flagged is anything that the Republicans don't like.
Because
we are
Mm-hmm.
in full authoritarian territory right now. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, you don't have to actually talk about it in like maybes or we're descending into, or, like they're, dictator, or they want to be dictators. It's like, no, we are actually seeing it in real time.
Yep.
I think to a lot of degree, there's a little bit of denial, or maybe you don't want to believe it's that bad, or, like so on and so forth. But let's just look at the lay of the land. Like, they are trying to, at every like different avenue that you are looking to,
Yes.
looking over the last few years, right, Natalie, trying to change how education is taught in schools, trying to make sure that child labor laws are rolled back, trying to make sure that women can't have any bodily autonomy, trying to make sure that you are skeptical of science, trying to make sure that you are skeptical of medicine. Like, everywhere that you look. And also Trump's constant being like, just believe what I'm telling you and let that be enough. Believe what, like, I'll post a funny thing here. I'll do a funny dance here.
Right.
Like, try to find a way to make it all seem like it's not that big of a deal. But this is authoritarianism.
Yes.
The only difference that, it's not like, as you would see in some dystopian movie yet, is because there are people actively fighting to make sure that it doesn't get to that point.
Right.
But they are trying to push it that way. Where will this all lead, Natalie? They want to make sure the Republican Party does in Texas, as far as every other state is I'm concerned, that any speech that they do not like is criminalized, is suppressed, is completely hidden, and so that they can push out their agenda. So no, Trump isn't going to be in trouble for posting memes of himself. But if you post memes that Republicans don't like, you will be in trouble.
That's right.
That is the territory that we're getting into right now. As far as I'm concerned, I don't take anything that this party does any more seriously, as far as like it being anything other than, how can we advance our agenda? How can we advance our power? How can we find different ways to maintain and expand Republican power? That's what this looks like to me. How can we make sure that we are not having our leaders be made fun of? Because that could be damaging to us.
They have not lied about their agenda. And I don't understand why people still think that this is hyperbolic. Like, all of this stuff is real. They have said what they have wanted to do. They are consolidating power to the executive branch, and they are trying to strip people of all of their rights, and so that they can have a truly authoritarian state. They want control. I don't know how much more, like, you guys need to see out there in the world. And the fact that this passed, this isn't up for debate. This bill passed, to me, is really concerning. And it says the bill would require the disclosure by office holders, candidates, or political committees who use altered media in ads and spend more than $100 for political advertising. It would task the Texas Ethics Commission, who's on that, how did that come to be, what is that, with determining what the disclosure would look like, including font size and color. Violators would be charged with a Class A misdemeanor. They said the AI technology is getting better every single day. It gets more inexpensive. It's going to become the norm. So once again, you have a bunch of people making laws that don't understand AI. They don't understand how disinformation works. They refuse to invest in public education, and they refuse to invest in civics courses. They refuse to do all of the things that are going to help people critically think and understand and decipher media. And once again, because the people running our government, they are older people, I've talked to people in my neck of the woods that have said that the government officials they work for won't even learn to use their email. That they have their staff members doing their email for them. So this is the level of literacy that we have around AI and tech. And these are the people running things. It's no wonder that they don't even understand how this AI could be used in harmful ways and why they think it's important to be creating these laws, but they're going about it in a way that is going to end up doing more harm than good. And the fact that you could go to jail for sharing a meme on Facebook? Like that's some shit right there. I mean, that is
The
really
party of free
wild.
speech strikes again.
Amen to that. And as we wrap up, I want to just let's answer. We'll read one more person's comment because you guys have been so awesome about sharing your thoughts. Gregory Bale says backlash against Trumpism on the global stage is well underway on the global stage. Noting the most recent elections in Canada, Australia, and possibly even Romania. And I do think the positive thing that's come out from what's going on in America is other countries are saying, oh, hell no, we don't want that over here. And so that has been really positive. But I also think that leads back into this idea of education and educating people on what their government does, who's in their governmental positions, what those positions do, and the laws that are being made. And when we're talking about AI, this is kind of I think we should end on this story because this was kind of a wild story from the Wall Street Journal this week. And the Wall Street Journal put out an article, and you can read it. You can read some of the highlights on Instagram if you don't have a subscription. But they're talking about